been very rainy. Finally, after several weeks of incredibly hot weather, it's good to have the rain, but also it's good to be able to find some dry tinder, which isn't that easy to do. So, get back up there. There we go. Thing about birch bark, it works even when it's damp, and it's smoky when it gets going, but it works. Whew. So I thought today maybe just a little visit and a chat, cup of tea. I kind of wanted to talk a bit about why we're out here, all of us doing these kinds of things, and I guess what we hope to accomplish by it. I like to think that maybe with the years of experience I've got, not that there isn't always more experience to be had, but maybe it'll encourage somebody, motivate them to get out and give it a try. It's the reason that I do bushcraft is because it's just an everyday thing for me. You know, we have a garden and we grow a good bit of our own vegetables. We hunt, we fish, we preserve that. We use water bath canners and pressure canners and preserve all our own food. We freeze it and dehydrate it and smoke it and just about everything else you can imagine. But those of us, well, to my way of thinking, less fortunate, who live in cities or built up areas where you really can't do too much of that. God forbid if we ever had a problem where there was a real social economic breakdown. They talk about the grocery stores having only a 3-day supply, but you can't even really count on that, because as soon as that information got out that there was that kind of a breakdown, you know, unless you had cash in your pocket, you can't go to an ATM machine, because chances are, you know, that won't work. So you can't really pay for the food you want to get. Secondly, everybody and their brother is going to be crashing those grocery stores trying to get the stuff while it's there. So that 3-day supply is going to diminish, you know, very quickly. Not only that, the selection will diminish, but worse than that is it can be a pretty violent location. You know, if everybody's in there trying to get food and you're in there getting some, and they want to go in the door and there's nothing left, and you're standing out there in a parking lot with a grocery cart full of stuff that you want to load in your car, yeah, good luck. You know, you could have some pretty nasty people attacking you for the food that you've already managed to get ahead of them. So you can't really even go by that. So when you're not self-sufficient, when you're relying on an income, even if it's just that you lose your job, you know, if you're relying on an income of any kind from somebody else, you're at their mercy. You know, you can be working today and gone tomorrow. The whole company can be gone tomorrow. The whole economics of the country can be gone, you know, in a pretty short period of time. So that brings us back to the, you know, to the practicing self-sufficiency. If you're out here doing this, and you're doing it on a regular basis as I am, it's not really a matter of me having to practice it, because I live it pretty much every day, all day long. You know, I hunt for a good portion of our meat with fishing and so on. I have the ability, the skills, the knowledge, the experience, I guess, to be able to do that. So I don't rely on economics particularly for anything. I can heat my house with wood, you know, for whatever reason, for any reason that other heat sources are unavailable. You know, not the end of the world. It's convenient if we go away for a couple of weeks. It's always nice to have the furnace kick in while we're gone, but in an emergency situation, that's not really an issue. So that brings us around to being able to survive in an economic breakdown of whatever. So there's a certain advantage to all of this. I carry some foodstuffs there, some of those ramen noodles, which I won't bother with today, bags of tea, some honey, and my old canteen. This old canteen's probably, well, man, I've had that thing for many, many years. I can't even remember how long. I think the purpose of this exterior wool on here, this was what I used to have over the saddle horn on my horse, and the whole point of this was to, you dip it in water, and then as it evaporates, it helps keep the water inside the canteen cooler. That may not be the only reason, maybe it's just decorative, but it seems to work that way anyways. So as far as keeping self-sufficient, you know, you need to have, as a mechanic, I'm a licensed mechanic in Canada, so with that comes skills with tools, welding. I have my own home-built forge, so I make my own, some tools and knives. There's a lot of things. I do my own building, as you can see with the hunt trailer I'm building now. None of these things are being built to a level of some grand, you know, person who's really a construction expert or whatever, but they do a good job. It's sturdy, and it's going to last me a long, long time. And that's really what you need to have is, ooh, that's a tough one, something that's going to really go the distance for you. My gosh, it's maybe not as dry as I thought it was. In addition to that, being able to secure your own food and preserve it. Once you've got the fish, the meat, the vegetables out of your garden, whatever the case is, we have a pressure canner, we have you know, your basic water bath canner, all these things. You need these things along with a smoker and any other with salting, whatever, to preserve these foods so that they'll last you for a while. And I've seen the statistics where a lot of the people that live in cities and so on, you know, they go out for pizza, they go out for whatever, fast food takeouts and so on. And the statistics are that a lot of these people have less than 48 hours worth of food in their house at any given time. So if anything went wrong, you have absolutely no grace time to figure out what to do next. You're just in trouble almost immediately. And having the skills as a mechanic and as a welder and all the rest of it means that, plus the fact that we do the canning and have a cold room, we keep a good supply of food around, we've got time to sort out what's going to be the best thing to do. We have the skills to be able to do it, and we have the tools to be able to do those things. Saws and axes and hammers, nails, things that people don't think about, things like nails and so on. Traps, you'll get more food from the land with traps, which are passive. You can be busy cutting firewood and doing whatever you got to do. If you've got a dozen traps out, odds are you're going to get something that day, and yet you're not, you know, actually spending any actual time on it. So that's something that you have to do. And that brings us to another thing I wanted to mention about food. They talk about you can go so many days without food, so many days without water. I'm not going to debate that that's not the case. But the issue here is that you may be able to survive, you know, a life force for 3 weeks without food, but how functional will you be? You're not going to be functioning even probably after the first 5 or 6 days. 5 or 6 days without food means that, you know, your systems are going to start to shut down or at least kick back on you. You know, your brain isn't going to be as effective at making decisions or as quickly. Certainly your energy level is going to deteriorate. So even though you may continue to breathe for 3 or 4 weeks, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to be functional and do anything to better your situation after more than a few days. So and water is the same way, you know, especially, and it's not the case here, but if you're living in a desert area, you know, you can dehydrate, the water can be dehydrated out of your body at a liter. You know, you have to drink 4 or 5 liters a day just to recover the part that you're losing to the heat of the sun. So, you know, to say that a liter or 2 of water a day and you can live for 3 or 4 days without water, 3 days probably, not in the desert, you know, you can be gone that same day if you're dehydrated badly enough and you have no water and no shelter to get out of the sun. So, you know, you all have to take this with a grain of salt. It depends on where you are, the circumstances, the economic conditions as to what you've got available and where you can go to get out of your situation. If you don't have those options, you better have a way of taking care of yourself. So this chat today was mostly about practice. You know, if you're not bushcrafting or camping, take the family out, take the kids out. It's a lot of fun. But the thing of it is, you're practicing certain skills, and the more you practice, the better. That may someday mean something to you, maybe something very important. And the more you practice these things, the more you do these things, the more you come out here like this and make a cup of tea, light a fire with whatever is available as far as wood goes. Practice makes you better at everything. You're not going to be proficient if it's something that you do, you know, once in 2 years or something like that. You know, I try to do as many different things as I can. I reload my own ammunition. I do all my own repairs around the house. And in a rural area, that's partly because, you know, the nearest repair guy for any given situation could be, you know, 100 kilometers away from where I am here. To call that guy in, first off, you might have to wait a long time before he's available. Secondly, it's going to cost a fortune, because it's going to cost you $100 just to get him to come to you and give you an estimate. So, you know, you really want to have the ability to take care of yourself. And God forbid, hopefully we'll never have to use that in a really serious way as far as you know, a life-threatening, world-threatening and economic collapse. But you know, the way the world's going nowadays, I don't even know if that's true or not. You know, things are looking a little rough at times. So all I can say is get out, enjoy yourselves, do a little fishing, do a little ice fishing, do a little camping, take the family out and you know, go for a weekend. Every little bit counts, and practice all the skills that you can. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing this, how many people I talk to, there's more things that I learn every day. Maybe not necessarily something that I've never heard of before. It may not be something I've never done before, but you know, I watch these other people on YouTube, and inevitably, even though I've been out doing this for way over 50 years, since I was a teenager, there's always new ways of learning how to do something, maybe a little more efficient than what you're doing now. Not something new, but a new way to do it. There's always a chance to learn no matter who you are. So all I can say is, you know, get out, enjoy it, appreciate nature, take care of it, and make the most out of it for yourself if it ever comes that you need it. And in the meantime, just have a real good time with it. So I want to thank you for watching. Hope that if this means anything to you, you'll subscribe and share and like, pass it on to anybody else that you think might be interested, and hopefully you'll come away with something here. Just, if it's nothing else, maybe a little bit of motivation. That's really what I'd like to do for people, is just motivate them to get out here and try these things. And you know, it's just a good thing to do. It's healthy fresh air. Take a camera, do some photography. You know, it's all a worthwhile effort anytime you're in the outdoors. Thanks for watching.